Hello Hammock Forums and the Reddit ultralight subreddit. This is Arrow Hiker here, and today I'm going to show you quickly my ultralight modular no knot 54-gram hammock suspension system. So in this video I'm just going to show you the components and then I will make a second video which shows the setup process, and if there's enough interest I'll make a third video showing how to make some of these components. So let's get started. Here in my kitchen I've laid out the different components of this hammock suspension system. On the right here we have the tree straps. These are 4-foot Kevlar tree straps from Dutchware Gear. And on the end, I have a grappler's hitch made out of Dynaglide. And these, both sides of the suspension system are color coded, green for the head end and orange for the foot end. Next, on these tree huggers, I have what I call an infinity loop. It's basically a continuous loop with the one twist that there is a little noose that's been spliced into the end of it. And then after that, we have our UCRs, again made out of Dynaglide as inspired by Sergeant Rock. And then lastly, to attach to the hammock, we have these continuous loops with spliced button knots on the end. And this, the use of button knots throughout the system and these nooses gives it a high efficiency, quick connection point. So if you have a short hang, you can take the continuous loop that's attached to your hammock and just skip the UCR altogether and connect it to the infinity loop that's on your tree huggers. So let's weigh this and see how much it all weighs. Alright, I'm going to start with the button knot continuous loops. These are attached to your gathered end hammock. If it's a whipped hammock, you can lark's head them on, or if it's a sewn channel hammock, you can feed these through the channel and then lark's head it back onto itself. So both of these come in at under 4 grams. Next, I'm going to add the UCRs, which don't weigh terribly much. Just want to make sure that it's all on the scale. So next with the UCRs, they're not touching the ground, although they're off the side of the scale a little bit. But here you can see that nothing is actually touching. Now we add the continuous loops with the nooses, and that all comes in at 19 grams. So lastly, we add the tree huggers with the button knot grappler's hitch, and we have a grand total of 54 grams, which is quite light in my opinion. Now I've also made a similar quick disconnect fixed ridgeline system out of some lashet, and we can weigh this quickly just to see how much this comes in at. And this fixed ridgeline is another 5 grams. Now I'm going to take a look in some more detail at each of these components. However, I've made a version out of Amsteel instead of Dynaglide, and where it's possible I've used 2 different colors of rope tied or spliced together, which sort of helps highlight what the different components are and kind of gives you a better sense of how they're made. So let's take a look at these. I'm going to start with the ends of the components that attach to the hammock. So this is a continuous loop which has a button knot tied in the end, which is a dual strand button knot, and this means that there are essentially 4 strands of rope which exit this bottom, and then the free ends have been buried into the standing end of the rope, which ends up giving this more strength. Normally someone might use a lanyard knot or a diamond knot here, but this has the advantage of, first of all, having 4 strands worth of fibers carrying much of the load, and second of all, having 4 strands to have the nooses wrapped around gives this more strength than just a traditional diamond knot would, which would have 2 strands. So this end attaches to the hammock, and then the UCR will have a noose which you can quickly hook around this button knot here. Here we have the UCR, and as you can see here is a fixed spliced eye with additionally this noose. So this is a noose that you'll commonly see in the improved soft-shackle design. And this UCR, this portion attaches to the hammock end, and the adjustment, the tail that comes out of it, is here. So in theory, if it's raining out, you can adjust your hammock suspension from under the comfort of your tarp. Now we have a bury of this line that goes through the UCR here. The bury exits here, and then I have a midshipman's hitch or a different version of a rolling hitch tied here. I find that this just grips the line a little bit better than the traditional rolling hitch or taut line hitch. Now this black line continues up here, and I've spliced in a green line here into the black line, and then it exits the bury and the locked brummel here. And then with these 2 lines, the black and the green, I've gone ahead and tied an additional dual strand button knot. Let me see if I can get this to focus here. Okay. So again, this is the same button knot, and both all 4 of the strands exit the bottom of the knot, and then again I've buried the strands, the free ends, in the standing end to create this nice thick high efficiency point for the noose to wrap around, because the strength of line will depend on the radius of curvature of the various knots. So having a rounder, thicker line to take the noose around will help the noose maintain its strength at something that's close to the rated strength of the line. Here I have the spliced infinity loops, or continuous loops with nooses. In this version, the Amsteel version, I've added a nylon washer here just to help prevent this from getting pulled back through if it gets pulled too tight. Also, with continuous loops, when you're splicing them, I don't even bother with any kind of attempt at a brummel. It's impossible to make a locked brummel with a continuous loop in the traditional sense. The strength of a splice is derived from the bury, not from any form of locked brummel. So some people make what I call a grog loop, which is they create a locked brummel like they're going to do an eye splice, and then they bury the free ends back in the line. But with that technique, basically the locked brummel ends up carrying the entirety of the load. So here I've just created a continuous spliced loop where I've buried the ends, and then I got my sewing machine and I just ran some stitching along the length of it. This will just help prevent the berries from coming loose, and this is going to end up being much stronger than the grog loop technique where you create the locked brummel like you're going to make a fixed loop I-splice, but then bury both ends. So this should be stronger. If you're using AM steel, it probably doesn't matter much. But when we go over to my Dynaglide version, you know, this line is rated for something like 1,200 pounds, and every time you splice it or tie a knot in it, depending on the efficiency of that splice or not, you're going to decrease the strength of it. So since you know, I'm a heavy guy, I weigh 210 pounds, I'd rather not take any chances, and I'd like to try and make all of the connections as efficient and strong as possible. Lastly, we have our 4-foot Kevlar tree huggers. You can buy these from Dutch, and they have a loop sewn into each end. Now, this end, the loop here, is going to attach to this infinity loop or continuous loop with noose, with just sort of a square knot or a lark's head type knot. And then this end is my sort of answer to a Dutch clip. This is the so-called grappler's hitch, originated by Phantom Grappler on the hammock forums. And basically, to use this, you just pull out this length that is a round turn that's been tied into this loop of the tree hugger. Put the other end through a loop that you create like this, and this is quite hard to do with one hand, and then connect this back through the little loop that you opened up, and then tighten down. So this is like a sewn-in Dutch clip, except it's lighter, and you're not going to lose it in the woods. I was using soft shackles there before, but the problem with that is, first of all, these things are hard to manipulate with just one hand, as you saw now, and when undoing it, it's quite easy to just drop it, and if it's, you know, fallen, there's lots of duff on the ground, you might lose your soft shackle in some tall grasses or some dried leaves or something like that. So this, you know, this is fixed on here, and it's just not going anywhere. All right, guys, let me set this up, and I'll hang in it to show you that it can hold my weight, and thanks for watching. Alright guys, here is my hammock suspension system in action. It's hanging up a Eno sub 7 9-foot hammock with my quick detach adjustable, or not adjustable, quick detach fixed ridge line connected to it as well. Here you can see the Kevlar 4-foot tree straps, which are wrapped around my kitchen pass-through. I'm really hoping that that this is going to be strong enough and that I'm going to be able to get my security deposit back for the apartment. But I've hung here a couple of times, so I'm pretty confident it should work. Here is the dual strand grappler's hitch, dual strand button knot grappler's hitch in action. You can pass it through here, and then to take it apart, and then just make sure that this is nice and cinched down so this button knot can't get through. Now we have a sort of square knot from the two loops. This is the loop in the Kevlar tree strap, and then this is the infinity loop, or the noose, continuous noose loop. Here we have the end of the UCR button knot that's connected through this noose, and then follow this down. This is our midshipman's hitch. Here's the bury in the UCR. I've added these little rubber bands. These are little hair rubber bands just to help get this to bite, so there's less of a chance that I'll ride this to the ground. The UCR comes down, the tail exits here, so this is the adjustable portion. We can pull to adjust it. I just need to make sure that this is nice and milked out before we lie in it. And then here is the I-splice with noose on the UCR, and then the continuous loop with button knot through the gathered ends of the hammock. Have another continuous loop with button knot made out of the latchet, which then attaches to a I-splice with noose on the ridge line, and this ridge line goes all the way to the other side, where there's just a fixed I-splice connecting here, and then here's the UCR for the tail end, or the head end, same as the foot end, and then this goes up to the tree straps, which are around the hinge of my bedroom door. Alright guys, this is Arrow Hiker, all 210 pounds of me, signing off from my Eno Sub 7 hammock in my do-it-yourself modular ultralight UCR quick disconnect setup. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are going to be some links in the video description with some more info on splicing and Sergeant Rock's Dynaglide UCR system and Phantom Grappler's grappler hitch and some other info. And then hopefully sometime soon I'll get around to making the video showing the setup and the quick disconnect functionality. Alright guys, thanks so much. Catch you later.